Hello, this is PJ. I want to talk to you for a few minutes about gardening in raised beds. I've been gardening in raised beds for at least 15 years. I prefer that method rather than tilling up ground and fighting grass and weeds that get thrown into it. But there's a lot of advantages to gardening in a raised bed. First of all, though, I want to talk to you about location. Like a lot of things, location, location, location. Even with your raised bed, it needs to be in full sun. That means at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight every day. Now this bed right now is in the shade, but it's very late in the afternoon and it's been in sun all day. The other thing you have to consider, of course, is the ground. My ground here is not exactly level. You can see it slightly slopes this way and it also slopes this way. So before I put this bed in place, I had to dig a little trench, level out, and level it up. Because you do want it to be, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close to being level. Otherwise your water's going to wash down one way and your soil and everything else. So it's great gardening in a raised bed because it gives you a very confined space. But again, just like your garden space, you have to make sure it gets full sun and that your bed is level. The next topic is materials for your raised beds. I have always used rough cut lumber. This is an example of a piece of nice, beautiful red cedar, and I've used rough cut cedar more specifically. You have to try to find it a little bit. For me personally, I had to search Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, but I did find some. There are some places around out in the county that have farmers and people like that who have a lot of land and have a little sawmill, and they usually have a lot of cedar, and they're more than willing to cut it to size for you, and so that way you don't have to have a saw or cut it yourself. So I use cedar. It lasts a long time. And in a minute I'll show you an example of a bed that I put up probably 13, 14 years ago, and it still looks good. Okay. The other thing that you need to consider, of course, is the size. A good size, a good width for a raised bed is 4 feet. This one is 4 feet wide. It's 8 feet long. A 4 by 4 is a really good size, of course, depending on what your need is. You do it 4 feet wide so you can easily sit on the side and reach into the middle. That way you're not having to go around your bed and all that kind of stuff to reach into the middle or where you need to reach, to weed, to fertilize, or whatever. So again, I recommend the cedar. Now you can use pressure treated lumber or landscape timbers. Just need to be careful that none of those were manufactured before 2003. Because before 2003 they had chemicals in them that you don't want in your soil. And it wouldn't be a very good thing. But after 2003, those were pretty much gone away with. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit more about construction. This is a raised bed I made 13, 14 years ago. You can see it's really still in pretty decent shape. It's a 4 by 4. It's out of cedar. So it lasted a long time. It's just that I didn't need it anymore, and I replaced this with a bigger bed. Now I want to show you just a minute some of the things that I use to put the raised beds together. It's fairly simple. If you go to like the area in the big box stores where they have all the stuff you make decks with, they'll have all of these brackets and cool things that you can do to put your bed together. So right here I use this type of corner bracket to put this bed together, and you simply just put the boards together, fit that bracket in there, and screw it in. Okay? So, and as you can see, for this bed and all my other beds, I've got 2 boards. That's because it's easier to work with just a 6-inch wide board, and I prefer a 12-inch deep bed because I grow tomatoes and okra and things that have deep root systems. So you need a good deep bed to accommodate those. If you're just growing lettuce and some smaller herbs and stuff, a 6 to 8-inch bed will be fine. Anyway, I do the 6-inch wide boards and then I put them together. So there's these in the corner. And to attach the two boards together, you just get this real simple metal plate, put a couple of screws down here, a couple of screws up there, and it's together. And then all of a sudden you've got a 12-inch deep bed instead of a 6-inch deep bed. And like I said, it's easier to work with those 6-inch wide boards, and that way you can adjust it very easily. Now, as far as connections, there are several different options. This is another type of bracket that again is in the decking area in your big box hardware stores. This year I splurged and got these beautiful corner brackets at an online garden store. They're really nice, they're steel, boards just slide down in there and then they just sit down on the ground. They got a nice little cap, and since they're steel they're going to last and they're not going to rust. Easy to use, a little on the pricey side, but they're very pretty. So you can get brackets at your hardware store, or you can get fancier things online if that's what you prefer. Okay, now let's talk about the inside part of the bed. So you've got your bed constructed, set up, level, so now you're ready to put the soil in there. I do not recommend using just potting soil or bagged topsoil or anything like that, or even your own native soil, unless you've got really good stuff. Raised beds need really good drainage because obviously they're a kind of a closed system here. So what I recommend and what I've always used, and it works real well, is a third peat, a third compost, different kinds of compost if you can get it, and 1/3 vermiculite, and that's by volume. So what I've done is when I get ready to fill in my bed, I'll put a layer of peat moss, a layer of compost, and then a layer of vermiculite, and then I just use my good old hoe and just mix it all up together. And so I just do, for this bed I probably did like 4 layers, so I did that 4 different times. So you can get a really good mixture by the time you get to the top of your bed and get it filled in. Now, another question that people have quite often is, do you line it? I line my beds. First of all, there was Bermuda grass under here, and I don't want to fight Bermuda grass in my raised bed. Second of all, it really helps you contain the nutrients, I think, better. If you use the mixture right with the vermiculite and the peat, it's still going to drain well, but retain good moisture. I actually even, after I get the soil in there, I go and punch just a few small holes in the bottom, just so it gives a little bit more drainage. But again, it's not absolutely necessary, but I've always done this. And again, even though this cedar lasts a long time, it still helps for the cedar to last longer if it's lined on the inside here. So again, the soil is very important because you need soil that's got good drainage in it. So that's why you use that combination, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of peat, compost, and vermiculite. For other ideas about how to lay out your raised bed, you can check Mel Bartholomew. Came up with the square foot gardening method many years ago, and his books are widely available. And he talks about setting out your raised bed in square feet. So in every square foot, you put a different vegetable. Now, if you don't do that, the other thing you do is just plant your raised beds just like you would if you're planting in the ground. Keep the same spacing and make sure that there's enough air circulation, because here again, you're in a small area. So you want to make sure that you got enough air circulation, and so that it lessens your chance of getting diseases. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about raised beds and gardening in raised beds. There's a lot more information also on the Ag Extension website. You can go there and just search for raised bed, gardening in raised beds, and they've got a lot of good information out there to get you started and make sure you're successful. Thanks a lot.